What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about two of the biggest gaming snubs from the Game Awards. This was actually brought up to me in a live stream, and I thought, you know what? Phenomenal idea. It's something that I feel pretty passionate about, and I want to talk about. Now, here's the deal. I want to be very transparent and open, going into this. And I've said this in other videos, but, not everybody watches the 5,000 videos I do every week. I don't actually care about the awards. I don't actually care about, which game was nominated or which game ultimately wins. I am not buying my games, and I'm not looking at games based off of if they win the Game Awards or if they win Best Ongoing Game at the Game Awards. It's not going to, change my mindset, okay? So that isn't, at the same time, though, I don't think that's necessarily everybody. I do think awards do matter to some people. If IGN gives, a Game of the Year award or whatever, I think there are people that value that. I would never value that ever, but that's me, and there's people that don't think like me, and that's okay. So I do just want to make that, apparent that while I am going to, complain about these two games and a couple other things I want to talk about, it's all in good fun. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so I made a video talking about Cyberpunk, how I don't agree with that being nominated, and I get it if you disagree, and I made videos on that as well. But two games that I think deserve something that just didn't get anything are Hitman 3 and Little Nightmares 2. Now, I guess I also talked separately about Gotham Knights and Hogwarts Legacy. I do think those should have been up for most anticipated, but I think most anticipated should have been bigger than 5 games. I think it probably should have been closer to 10, because it's just, again, what's the harm of having more nominees, especially for something like most anticipated? Does it really matter how many candidates you have? I really don't think it does. Okay, so that's an aside. I don't necessarily like the Gotham Knights and Hogwarts, but my main two I want to focus on are Hitman 3 and Little Nightmares 2. Both of them, I would say, are casualties of, and this is actually a real thing. I fully believe this is a real thing, and even in my own mind, they're casualties of coming out early in the year. And when games come out earlier in the year, you tend to forget about them later in the year. Now, that's been a thing that's been said for years. When we talk about, if IGN does it, GameSpot, whatever, that is something that's talked about, where it's is X game that came out in January going to even be remembered? Because, it works out for it in the moment, right? When Hitman 3 comes out, it's the first big game of the year. In fact, it was. And I really, really liked Hitman 3. It was one of my favorite games for a while. But granted, even for me, it got surpassed by other games. But I feel like that's kind of the nature of what happens, right? Is it comes out first, so it has no competition, and you like it, and then it just gets attacked. And not necessarily every game that came after Hitman 3 was better than it, but you just have so many games that do come after it that it gets, almost gets hard to remember that Hitman 3 even, if I told you, in fact, I think I did this with my wife, it's if I told you that Hitman 3 even released this year, would you even remember that? And some people may not, and I get that. Little Nightmares 2 is similar. That game came out, I believe, in February, around mid-February, and I would say it's got a similar reason, but Little Nightmares also has the, negativity in terms of, being snubbed here by, I think, it just being a smaller game. Little Nightmares is a known franchise. The first one was popular. This one was popular. And again, at the time, Little Nightmares 2 was phenomenal. And I guess I shouldn't even say it like that. It still is. When I think back to Hitman 3, I love it. It's one of the better games I do think that came out this year, and I feel like it should have appeared somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere on the Game Awards, okay? Same thing with Little Nightmares. That game was phenomenal. It was scary. It was, both of them actually, very, expertly designed in terms of the map and just, what you're doing, at any given time. So good. So good. Little Nightmares 2 also had an incredible, I think, ending, which was quite a shocker to a lot of people. Maybe something that we could have, foresaw, but just, when it happened, it was insane. So to me, those two games stand out. Even I don't know if Hitman 3 necessarily was story, but I guess it was probably the most prominent story a Hitman game has had in quite a while, I think is fair. But I do think they're at the top of their craft, respectively, at something. And actually, I would say at quite a few different things, because those games really stand out. I don't know, when people, I saw the Jez Corden article about Forza not being nominated for the like game of the year is a disgrace to the industry. I laughed at that. I don't know how many other people laughed, but I think that was a pretty stupid thing. I just don't agree with that. Again, I guess backed by my opinion that nobody actually cares. So the fact that Forza wasn't on there doesn't really mean all that much. How about two games that weren't on there at all? I was terrified for Life is Strange and Guardians of the Galaxy, and they both, they didn't make it for Game of the Year, which I would have hoped for, but I mean, let's be real, right? At least for Life is Strange, I guess specifically, was not going to happen. But it doesn't, that's the point though. Again, why I don't care. It doesn't matter. Like, I can do my own game of it. I like Geoff Keighley and I like watching it, and we're going to co-stream the Game Awards, but I don't actually care about who wins and loses. I don't care that The Last of Us won 40,000 awards last year. It doesn't matter to me, you know what I mean? But again, I know it matters to other people. So like, Life is Strange, Guardians, those not being up for certain things upset me. But at the same time, it's like, well, at least they got nominated for, I think they got nominated for like 2 or 3 things each. So it's like, fine. Same thing for Forza, I get it. It maybe is a Game of the Year contender to some. And it got nominated here and there, but obviously not for that. But I would say when you're talking about snubs, right? Biggest snubs, it's not Forza. It's not any game, I would argue, that made it on the list somewhere. It's games that were completely left off, I would argue, right? So to me, Little Nightmares, I would say It Takes Two, too. If that game wasn't on there anywhere, and it was, I think it made on, again, like 2 or 3 categories. If that game wasn't on there, that would have been a very similar issue to me. But yeah, Hitman 3, I mean, that game was incredible, in my opinion. It was the best Hitman of the 3. Maybe not the best Hitman of all time, but I would argue it's up there. I mean, it was a phenomenal game. Like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I enjoyed the entire thing. It was my Game of the Year, I guess, until the next Game of the Year came, but so what? I'm not asking for it, again, by the way, to be nominated for Game of the Year. I'm just saying get nominated for something. And then Little Nightmares 2, that game is that actually maybe surprises me more, because that's one of those smaller games, indie-ish, although maybe not really, but like it falls in that kind of category where you would imagine maybe it would have appeared in one of those smaller categories for the Game Awards, and it just was completely left off. I actually kind of feel like they forgot, the judges, the jury, or whatever they call themselves, right? They probably forgot about at least one of the 2 of these games, and then they probably forgot about Little Nightmares, and then they just couldn't fit Hitman 3 in. That's gonna be my running conspiracy theory, and I feel like I'm right. So let me know, guys, what you think in the comments. Again, all in good fun. I don't actually care. I play these games. I love them. I don't care which game is on any of these things. But let me know what you guys think about those 2 games, or any other games that you think were kind of snubbed overall in any of the categories for the Game Awards. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. If you guys want to follow me anywhere else, I have a Twitter. I have a second YouTube channel. We also have Patreon and YouTube memberships. Links for them all are in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.